Good morning, everybody. This is Dan Spatz on behalf of the Dalles Area Chamber. Today is Thursday, August 6th. Our guest this morning is Liz Lance with the QLife Quality Life Network, fiber optic broadband network in the Dalles and Wasco County. Liz is going to be telling us about some pretty cool stuff that has happened and especially cool stuff that will be coming up. And we have some slides to show, and so we're looking forward to the presentation. First off, we'll go around the table here and get some organizational updates and see what's going on around the community. I'm going to start my upper right-hand corner with Corliss, and then I'll turn it over to Mike Wacker. Corliss, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Corliss Marsh here. I'm with Habitat for Humanity and the Library Senior Center and the College Foundation. And I'm just happy to be here this morning to listen in.
Thank you, Corliss. Mike, and then Lee Weinstein.
Good morning. I'm with the Dalles Kiwanis Club and Fort Dalles Museum. Actually, the Kiwanis Club is working hard preparing for the state feed that is going to be September 10th. So mark it on your calendars. It's always a good time. We're going to have some good music and see you there. Thanks. Have a good day.
Cool. Thank you, Mike. Lee, and then Jake Anderson.
Lee Weinstein, and I chair the board of QLife, and it's great having Liz here with us this morning. This is exciting, and it was wonderful seeing Corliss at the Dalles Farmers Market and learn about plastic recycling going on now here in the Dalles. Very interesting program, and we can basically recycle a whole bunch of plastic now right at the transfer station.
That sounds like a community affairs topic.
Good one.
We'll have to look into that. Thank you.
Definitely get them to come out.
Corliss, do you have a point of contact you could send me?
Yeah, I'll send you her business card. I'll take a picture and send it to you.
That would be great. Thank you, Corliss. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lee. Jake, and then we'll turn it over to Commissioner Nichols.
Good morning, everyone. Jacob Anderson, Economic Development Officer for the City of the Dalles. You may be seeing that we're back to work on the Federal Street Plaza, and we started working in there, and we found an underground storage tank that put a stop back to work for a short amount of time. But luckily, it was decommissioned properly, and we're going back to work here soon. We just didn't know about it. It never got signed up with the state.
I never saw that when I was there, Jake. Darn it. Okay. Roger, and then Julie Reynolds. Roger, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that. I've got a switch in my mic as well as the switch in the Zoom. I want to thank Corliss for the kind words. Yesterday was my first meeting as commissioner, and it went very smoothly. I did want to mention a couple of things. Just this morning, the grasshopper fire, about an hour ago, they said it's actually 42,000 acres. Containment is 20%. And I do want to share what containment means because I was out at Maupin last Friday and got a good explanation. Containment doesn't mean they don't have a line around the fire. It means they can't trust that line. In other words, when it gets to be contained, they can walk away from it. So I found that because people were saying, it's been days and days and you're going to 0% containment. Yeah, that's right. So right now they have 20% containment that they're comfortable walking away from those lines. So I just want to mention that. Also, get a plug for the Wasco County Fair coming up next weekend. Do come on out. We're going to have a great time.
Thank you, Roger. And on that note, if anybody doesn't have Watch Duty on their phone, it's a great app to have. Julie, and then Andrew.
Julie Reynolds. I volunteer with Historic St. Paul's Chapel downtown. We're open for tours some of the time during the market, but our sign will be out if we have someone there to do tours. And speaking of the fair, I'm also on the Fort Dalles Museum Commission, and I realized too late it would be great to have a display in the commercial building. I haven't been out there for a couple of years. I got to go because I know Wasco County Historical Society does that. So I'm planning to go out there and scope out what they do so that Fort Dalles Museum can have an exhibit out there next year. That's all.
Cool idea, Julie. Andrew, and then Liz.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Dannes. I'm the Deputy Director at MCED. I also staff the Wasco County Economic Development Commission, and I've been fortunate enough to be working with Liz for the last couple of years. I run the Wasco County Broadband Action Team. MCED and QLife have had a partnership for a number of years. So it's been excellent to support her and see all the work she's done, and I'm excited for you to learn more about that. As far as MCED updates, we are in the middle of our SEDS update. So our SEDS is our Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. We had our first meeting a couple weeks ago in Stevenson. It's full region wide, so the entire Mid-Columbia region, both sides of the river. Our next one will be in Arlington in Gillum County in a couple weeks, or at the end of September. But that is an exciting process. I'd encourage anyone here who's interested in learning more about kind of the future of the Gorges economy to attend those meetings. If you have any questions about those, you can reach out to me. It's just andrew@mced.org. Thanks, everybody.
Andrew, that might be a topic for community affairs if you, at some point during this series, talking about what is SEDS and the importance, and it's critical. If you're looking for grant funding, anything like that, one of the first questions, do you have a regional strategic plan? And we do, thanks to that process.
Absolutely. I'd love to, Dan.
All right, let's keep that in mind. We'll get that on schedule. Thank you, Andrew. We'll turn it over to Liz from the Housing Authority and then Bill Lennox. Liz.
Good morning, everyone. Liz Wilbur, Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation. I don't know that I have anything really to report today. We are running really strong with our home repair. We have 2 home repair grants on the Oregon side. So we're in the process of updating our website. But people can go there and fill out a form if they want to be put on the wait list. Those home repair grants for people making 80% area median income or below. They need to be qualified and the property needs to be qualified. So for example, we will do fixes, but we won't do complete renovations. So we don't have the money for it. Unfortunately, down payment assistance is done for right now. Oregon is shifting a lot of that to the Oregon Flex Lending Program. So people still need to take a home buyer education class, which we offer. That information's on our website as well, which I will drop in the chat. And I just want to give a shout out to the Skamania County Fair, which is in 2 weeks. I live in Skamania County, and CCHC and Mid-Columbia Housing Authority serve Klickitat and Skamania counties as well. So if you want a beautiful little fair, which is free, come on over to the Skamania County Fair.
Thank you, Liz. And a reminder to everybody, please put information, events, contact information in the chat box. Thank you. Bill, and then Becky. Bill Lennox.
Good morning, everyone. I'm with North Central Public Health, and I just want to do a shout out for Dan because I really appreciate the email you sent out, Dan, letting people know about who the speaker's going to be. So thank you so much for sending that out. And I'm also on the St. Paul's Historic Chapel Committee, and most recently we had an experience. We were trying to find a landscaper to help clean up some of the fire danger behind the building. And it was interesting. It was really quite a workout to try to find somebody that we felt like could really do a good job, but we did. So anyway, hopefully, that's the only thing. We all look around the town and we see all the issues having to do with so many things that could create a hazard for us. So anyway, I'm looking forward to QLife. I was once on the board of QLife many, many moons ago. And so it's nice to get an update. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill, for the kind words. We'll turn this over to Becky and then Vesta. Becky.
Hi, my name is Becky Brunn, and I own a communications firm called Pitchfork Communications, and I work with a lot of local companies over the years, including QLife. I've worked with Lee over the years, so yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing Liz, but also great to see a lot of familiar faces.
Thank you, Becky. Vesta and then Chris.
Good morning. I'm Vesta Smith, and I just come here just to see what's new in the community. Thank you all for sharing your information.
Thank you for joining, Vesta. Chris Walker.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Chris Walker, I work for Northern Wasco PUD, and I support Lee and Liz in QLife's broadband efforts.
All right. Thank you for joining this morning.
Glad to.
And let's see, One Community Health, let's not forget that. I'm on the board there. We are launching a foundation that is going to be next Friday, starting at 6 o'clock in the White Salmon Clinic, which is on Highway 14, immediately east of the Hood River Bridge. That's a new foundation being launched by One Community Health. Many of you may remember that as La Clínica del Cariño. We are serving both sides of the river with clinics in White Salmon, the Dalles, Stevenson, Hood River, and then also the One Community Health itself is celebrating its 40th anniversary the following day, Saturday the 15th, 3 o'clock at the Hood River Clinic. That's on Pacific on the Heights in Hood River. So come on and join us. We'd love to see you there. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our guest this morning, Liz Lance. And Liz, you say questions are welcome during the presentation, or people can hold. If you have questions, folks, during the presentation, just raise your hand or put them in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that. Liz, take it away.
All right. Good morning. Thank you. Hi, I'm Liz Lance. I'm the executive director of QLife. I'm actually the first ever full-time executive director of QLife. We'll talk about why that is as we go along. But I'm so excited to be with you this morning. This is the first group that gets to experience this talk. And I saw we had someone from Kiwanis on with us. I'll be there in September, as well as at the Rotary. You should be able to see my screen now. Can I get a nod or a head?
We're all
Or a thumbs
good.
up?
All
Good,
good, Liz.
great. Wonderful. So I'm so excited to share about QLife with you this morning. Goals of the session, we'll talk about what QLife is, why it was created, see how we already support the community every day, learn what's changing, how community-owned broadband benefits our region, and then, of course, as we talked about, you'll have an opportunity for questions along the way, as well as at the end. And I've asked Dan's help to mind the chat and see, because it can be so difficult sometimes to read and talk and do all of that. So if you have a question and you don't feel like you're being seen by us, just wave, chat, something like that, and we will get that for you. So what questions do you have before we get started? Anything burning?
Liz, I don't see anything right now.
Okay, great. So let's hop right in on what is QLife. So QLife, which stands for Quality Life Intergovernmental Agency, was created in 2001, and we provide reliable, affordable broadband that connects communities throughout that Mid-Columbia region. We were originally established in 2001. Some of y'all that are on this call were part of that establishment. But QLife operates and expands a regional fiber network that currently supports local businesses, schools, public agencies, and families, and soon to be more families. So we're looking to improve quality of life in the communities we serve by providing that dependable, affordable broadband that supports everything that we do: education, business, public service, helping residents thrive in that digital age. And QLife is currently made up of 3 members: City of the Dalles, Wasco County, and Northern Wasco County PUD. And so these 3 agencies have gotten together to say, broadband is a utility. We don't have enough of it. We're going to solve this problem. So those 3 together with a board. We have 7 members on our board, including Lee, and we are operating as an ORS 190 intergovernmental agency. And here's what's really important. We're not Spectrum. We're not CenturyLink. We're not another private ISP. QLife is local infrastructure. Think of it like roads, water systems, or electrical utilities. We build and operate that infrastructure that's serving our community and our community only. So we're only building for us, which means we get to solve the problems just for us and not have to create something that applies to everyone. How cool is that? So why was QLife created? This is a little bit mind-boggling for me, because in 2001, people in the Dalles, people in our community, recognized broadband would become essential. This is right. This is pre-iPhone, pre-Zoom, pre-cloud computing, pre-Netflix. This is before all of this was even a thought. And folks in the Dalles decided, okay, we need to be able to move into this future together, supporting economic development, education, healthcare, government services, competition, and just making sure that we were prepared for that future because we believed that broadband would become essential infrastructure. And we decided this would be as important as electricity and water. And thankfully, y'all were right. So here's what was built. There's an original 17-mile loop that goes through the Dalles. It's now over 60 miles of fiber throughout the Dalles and Maupin, supporting the large organizations that we have here, as well as schools, hospitals, public safety, government, and businesses. This network quietly supports much of the region every single day. If you've ever used the Wasco County services or been to many of the large stores on our main roads or interacted with any government agency, you are likely leveraging QLife fiber. And if you've never been a QLife customer yourself, that's because until now, most residents couldn't become a customer because we've historically just been serving these large anchor institutions. So we've been historically providing middle mile fiber, dark fiber, business connectivity, and connecting public institutions. We also serve, of course, all of the schools within the ESD district. So historically not residential internet, but that's what we're going to talk about with change. And we're so excited about that. So QLife this last year as well did a refresh on our mission, vision, and our values because of how much change we're bringing about. So our mission is to provide broadband that is reliable, affordable, and accountable to the communities we serve. And that communities we serve portion is so important because it doesn't define a geographic location. What this means is that we can build where the need is, where the business case makes sense, not just this pocket or this other one here. So accountable to the communities we serve. And our vision is this digitally connected community where reliable, affordable broadband service unlocks those new opportunities for innovation, economic growth, and community well-being. Andrew spoke about our cooperation, our commitment with MCED, and it's so intertwined. These days, you can't run a business, you can't grow a business without reliable broadband. And without reliable broadband, you can't run and grow a business. So we're very much intertwined, and I'm so glad we get to work together. And our values are so community oriented. This is about community first service, reliability, transparency, resilience, and innovation. Those are the things that keep our heart beating and keep us moving forward as QLife. So here's the big news about what's changing with QLife. Fiber broadband is coming to the Dalles. And this is the biggest change in QLife's history and in the Dalles history. There is not an existing fiber provider for residential service in the Dalles. It does not exist. What this means is if your internet ever buffers a little bit, or if you can tell when there's a sports game on because you can't connect to a Zoom call, those are the problems that we're going to solve for our community because we need to be able to be in this digital age and consume as much as we want to be able to move our economy forward. Sound exciting? Sound good?
Liz, we've got some excitement showing up in the chat already, and this might be later in your presentation in terms of strategic development. But we have a question from the other Liz. What is the plan to provide this utility to the whole gorge? And her preceding question was, how do we define the Mid-Columbia? So I'm saying the whole 5-county, 6-county region on both sides. And I know that's ambitious, but or if that's later in your presentation, you name it.
That's very ambitious, but gosh, wouldn't that be great? One of the things that I could have put 2 slides ago, and I will add, because this is an iterative process, is really important to know QLife is not funded by any taxes. There's no assessments, there's no taxes that fund QLife. QLife is solely funded historically by debt and then also by voluntary subscription revenues. So QLife will develop as far and wide as we possibly can afford. So if there was a blank check, yes, of course, we would be going everywhere we possibly could right now. But so much of our work in the last 2 years has been about defining a really feasible and sustainable business plan and making sure that we're not getting too far over our skis or trying to build something that isn't actually going to return the revenue that we need to keep the network going and continue to expand it. So different from a private ISP, right? I said we're not Spectrum, we're not Charter, we're not CenturyLink, we're not all of those things. Those organizations are privately owned or publicly traded in some cases, ISPs that are trying to deliver shareholder value. That's not what QLife is about. QLife, as an intergovernmental agency, is just trying to sustain itself and be able to move forward in expanding our reach. So we would love to develop to all 5 counties, but it's going to be on a as we can afford it basis.
We've got another question showing up, but this might be in your presentation. I don't know if I want to get. Why don't we go ahead and let you continue because I know you're going to cover this next one.
What is it? I'd love to know.
Okay. When is the rollout? How soon can we sign up? And what would the cost be? That's from Roger Nichols.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. We'll get right into it. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so we took, in considering the Dalles, which is where you have to start. In telecom, you have to start by building the densest area first, because for the dollars that you invest, you get the most revenue opportunity for that, right? Very similarly to how electric line is built. In some cases, you have 50 homes within a 4-block radius. And in other cases, you have 50 homes within a 5-mile radius. And you're going to generate a lot more revenue from that smaller build. It's going to cost less to do the smaller build to generate the same amount of revenue. So that's what we're looking at here. So we're starting in the density, starting in the Dalles. And we broke the Dalles into 10 and actually now 12 different zones. So breaking it up, seeing what makes sense to build at a specific time. And we have to start with high density and near our existing infrastructure, because QLife has 25 years of existing infrastructure. It's all over the place. If you start looking at pole lines, you're going to start seeing stuff. And fiber is, so we have electric line, right? Usually 18 feet and above. And then fiber sits below that usually. So if you see multiple levels on poles of things, those are different things. Communications is usually lowest, electricity usually at the top. So we broke the Dalles up into multiple zones, and we're beginning with what we refer to as zones 1, 2, and 8. And that is a high density residential district as well as our downtown business district. So that's what we're building first.
Liz, if we go back to that other slide, I have a question on that first one.
Yes.
I know that the first acronym is fiber to the home, FTTH. Mm-hmm. What is a FOND?
Chris, want to help us out?
It's simply fiber optic network design.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad to.
Awesome. Take it away. Go ahead, Liz. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for the question. It was going to look weird if I took that portion out. So I left in our acronyms. But yes, fiber to the home. And that's so important. FTTH, you don't actually have to know that. But fiber to the home is the part that's important. And that means the fiber goes all the way to the house, not just somewhere near there and then it's delivered via your normal cable or coaxial connection to the home. So here's what we're building first. And this represents about 2,750 homes and businesses in this zone. There's somewhere between 7,000 and 8,000 within all of the zones, depending on who you ask. And the depending on who you ask is multifamily or complexes or business suites, those sorts of things. But this represents about 2,750 homes and businesses in the core of our residential area and our business district here. So that's what we're building first. That's what we're building now. We are currently in the process of doing pole attachment permits. And so this is so great. The PUD recently rejoined QLife as a full member. And who better to put infrastructure on PUD-owned poles than the PUD? It just makes sense. And so Chris, thank you, Chris, for joining us, is the broadband manager at Northern Wasco County PUD and is fully allocated to be working on QLife's broadband program. So anything that you see at Northern Wasco County PUD that is broadband is all QLife. So the PUD is working on those pole attachments, the designs, the permitting, the planning, all to move that forward. So thank you, Chris, for the very hard work you're doing there. Chris has technical acumen far beyond mine and is really driving that portion forward. So thank you, Chris. So this is what we're building first. And here's why we're doing this. Because you could say, well, no one asked for this. Well, actually they did. A few years ago, we did a McEd regional broadband survey, and here's what we learned. First, the majority of households have a wired internet connection, and then the rest have some wireless. We have a couple wireless providers in town, but most households have some type of an internet connection. That's a great place to start. And many households are paying $70 to $150 a month. And this survey was done a couple years ago, so you would expect it has been going up since then. Actually, a quick show of hands is of folks that have a wired internet connection. Are you paying more than $70 a month for it? Keep your hand up if it's more than 85? More than 100? Oh gosh. Okay. So we about half have a internet connection at their house that costs more than $100 a month. That is something we're going to help you solve. Yes, Dan.
Lee has his hand raised. I'm assuming that's in addition to the previous question. Lee, go ahead. And you were muted, Lee. Lee, you're muted. Oh, Lee, you're muted.
Sorry, it's a Zoom
There we go.
problem. I raised my hand and for some
Oh.
reason Zoom put that up there. Ignore me.
No
Ah,
problem.
okay.
Yes, Zoom likes to interpret your hand gestures sometimes. Certainly, yes. So what we learned is that the majority of folks have an internet connection to their home, whether it's wired or wireless, and many of you are paying more than $100 a month. And of course, there's also Starlink, which we can talk about, which is, I believe, starts at about $120 a month as well. But we're looking specifically at a full fiber development. To my knowledge, there is not a better way to connect to broadband than fiber. And we'll talk about that. So most households want better choices, more choices, better speeds, more reliability. And this is so important. I love that the survey included this question, but it specifically asked, would you support a fiber to the home network with a voluntary subscription model run by the county? It was framed as the county at that time. Meaning no taxes or fees to non-subscribers. And over 85% of folks said yes, of course, because it's not going to cost them anything extra. It's going to bring additional choice and hopefully, which we will deliver, better speeds and more reliability. So the community is supportive of this. And what makes fiber different? So if you have Spectrum Charter or whatnot, you're likely in this copper DSL cable world. And this is not what fiber is. Fiber is completely different. So in fiber, the cable here, this is real. It's a little bit mind-boggling sometimes, but this is real. Fiber is light passing through a strand of glass in a cable. And whereas copper, so actually, we'll talk about the speed of light, right? Fiber can deliver symmetrical speeds up to 10 gigs per second and beyond. And what we mean by symmetrical is that your download and your upload are the same speed or very similar. And so the importance of that is often you'll see your download speed be higher than your upload speed in most traditional or historical, we could say, internet connectivity options. So download fine, upload not so good, which means you might be able to buffer a video, but you uploading a file, sending a big email, joining a Zoom call, that might be a little tricky. So fiber delivers super fast speeds. It's much more reliable. You have that symmetrical upload and download, and this is built for the future. We have yet to find the end of the useful life for fiber when treated correctly, when not dug out of the ground or hit out of the sky or any of those things. When not damaged, we have yet to find the useful life of fiber. But that's not the case with some of the more historical copper DSL cable type connections where you're seeing slower speeds, less reliability, uneven performance, that upload and the download being different, limited capacity. If your internet is slowing based on what your neighbors are doing, that's a problem. And we see higher long-term costs here. This is where we see things like, oh, your 2-year introductory agreement is over and now it's going to be double the cost. And you can call us and argue with us if you want, but it's going to only go down slightly. And good luck to you.
That's exactly what's happening. Liz and we're having some chat, including myself, about Starlink, and I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later. The other Liz pays $130 for Starlink. It's the only option she has. I'm up Snowden in Clickitat County. We paid the same amount. And again, as you said, it's one of those surprises. Oh, by the way, your bill's going up, deal with it. You can with Starlink, but so you can go cheaper. It's now 85, but that's at a reduced speed. And what we've found is I cannot run this meeting, and Michelle has another Zoom, and we interfere with each other at that reduced speed. Plus all the other issues with Starlink, like Elon. So continue.
This call brought to you by Starlink here as well. Um, I also live in a region that doesn't have any wired connectivity, and so Starlink is my only option. And I'm so grateful that Starlink is an option because it allows us to do this. It allows us to expand where folks that work from home or want to be able to do any work from home or really participate at all in our economy and society from home. It allows that, but I see it as a band-aid. Fiber is the right solution. It's also the most expensive. And so Starlink, so grateful for it, amazing. Amazon also they've renamed it from Kuiper to LEO, low Earth orbit, but LEO. They've renamed it. Yes, they did have a rocket blow up recently that has slowed them, but they are supposedly continuing forward. And for my own sake, if Amazon LEO was available right now, I might have both, one as being redundant to the other, because it is this thing that's shooting the internet through the sky to multiple base stations and satellites. It is inherently somewhat fragile. And so that redundancy would be attractive to me, but fiber would be even better. Even better. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. Do we have any other questions at this point?
Not so far.
Okay, great. So let's talk next about what makes QLife different. QLife was born here. We only care about here. And so that means that we have local control, city, county, PUD. The decisions are made right here. Our board meets the fourth Thursday of every month. It's a public meeting. I invite you to join us. We usually meet in the Northern Wasco County PUD boardroom. Our backup location is in the admin building on 3rd Street from the county. So we are intergovernmental by design. We exist to serve the public interest, not the private shareholders, as we talked about. We're not trying to return shareholder value. We're trying to be as good as we can be and deliver as widely as we can. And this is all influenced locally. We're accountable to the communities we serve, right? We talked about that at the beginning. Accountable to the communities we serve, not distant owners. Our money stays here. Our revenue is reinvested into our region. We're creating jobs here. And we're building this for our community. I didn't grow up here, plainly, but I love living in this community, and I love being able to do something that benefits our community. It's the coolest job in the world. I get to bring internet to either places that haven't had it before or places where it's been pretty crummy. And that's my personal mission of trying to improve our region and help move everything forward and building for our community in our community, partnering with local businesses and workers. It's a delight to get to work with each of you and with your agencies. It's just truly the most fun. So that's what makes QLife different. We only care about here. We're trying to build for here. And once you all hopefully are able to sign up to consume QLife broadband services, and this is a differentiating factor, you will be able to walk into Northern Wasco County PUD and ask a question about your account, pay your bill, see a human, and actually talk to somebody about your internet connectivity, which in all of my experience dealing with internet companies, I've never been able to actually go see a human. Have any of you?
Liz, I know that Roger is anxious on this question.
Let's hear it.
When is the rollout? When can we sign up, and what would the cost be?
Great questions. Yes. I will get to that as we go forward. Rollout, planning for late Q4, but we're starting. This is actually the first time that I'm showing maps on a QLife call and talking about this in such grandeur. And so coming soon, this is the beginning, much, much more to come. And pricing and those sorts of things are being finalized at the moment, and more to come on that. Not quite ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll hang tight on that one.
Please do. So here's how we're going about this. You asked, when is this coming? This is phased construction. So we're building in stages. You saw the map of all of the different zones within the Dalles. We're building in phases. So focusing first on those high density areas, high need areas to deliver faster and manage those costs, right? Because if I can deploy a 50 homes in a 4-block radius, which I know that's ambitious, but let's say they're apartments. 50 homes in a 4-block radius start to generate that revenue that helps us be able to move forward on further expansion. We're leveraging our current fiber infrastructure and those facilities to reduce some costs because we put it out there already. We should be using what we already have. We're also building some new facility, of course, but we are trying to be really smart about what we already have and using that to build into the future. And with our partnership with Northern Wasco County PUD, we have a one trench philosophy. So that means if new homes are being developed and new homes are going in, QLife is working with the PUD to put conduit in the ground when that happens, which means higher efficiency in deploying to those homes in the future, saving money, minimizing disruption, protecting our streets, right? If the trench is open, everybody that wants to be in there should just get there, in my opinion. So thank you to Chris and the team at Northern Wasco County PUD for making that happen. Our partnership is very deep across multiple different elements, and we're really lucky to have a infrastructure owner working with us to deliver those things. But we also talked a lot about financial stability and sustainability, that we're operating with that long-term business model, covering our costs, investing in that future, and protecting our public resources. No tax revenue is going into this. It's all voluntary subscription revenue and debt. And so we have to be able to develop, get the revenue going, and then be able to predict sustainable revenue into the future to know how much debt to take on so that we can build faster. That's the push and pull here. So the more folks that we collectively get to become QLife broadband customers, the better we'll do and the more we can expand. So we're looking at that long-term plan, building a network that can grow with our community for decades to come. We're so excited to bring this to you. So this matters because we all deserve exceptional fiber broadband to support business attraction, healthcare, education, housing, entrepreneurship, public safety, quality of life. I can be cute with it. But there's so many other reasons that this matters to us. And really, and you could ask, well, why hasn't someone else done this? And in many cases, it's because of the density, and that we're not thankfully, one of those giant metropolitan areas, right? So it's time to change this. And because no one has stepped up to the plate to deliver this so far, QLife is going to bridge that gap and is going to deliver that service to this community and help all of these elements move forward. So what's next? This is answering your question. Construction is underway with pole attachment applications already in progress. Chris and his team are managing those with some contractors to make sure that we have permission to connect to all of those telephone poles that are owned by Northern Wasco County PUD to put that fiber out there. Marketing information will be coming as early as late September. Stay tuned for that. There's so much development in the works there. And our residential service launch coming in Q4 2026. The first thing that you'll see will be some marketing and some just word of mouth, which will then take you to a web page where you can let us know that you're interested. And then from there, it will be, okay, where do you live? Are we building to your location right now? If so, here's what you can look forward to. Here's what you can sign up for. If not, let us know where you are. And if you get enough of your friends and neighbors in your region to say, yes, we want this, then that lets us know that it might make sense for us to develop in that region sooner than later, right? So we're starting small or small-ish with these 2,750 homes in our zones 1, 2, and 8, homes and businesses, of course, and then we'll expand from there. But if enough folks in an area raise their hand high enough and say, yes, we want to do this, because we consider that as a take rate, right? Because we want to develop in an area where we're going to see a high take rate, a high percentage of those locations consume our services. And so if we get folks together in an area that say, yes, we're ready to sign up, we want to do this, that's incentive to us to prioritize that build and to maybe move that further up in our line of where we're going to develop next, because the revenue opportunity is there and folks are asking for it. So that's what we have coming up. Development in the Dalles. We're so excited about this, and moving from just serving businesses and schools and medical facilities, those sorts of things, to really serving our community in a new way. So we have this chance to develop infrastructure. So excited about it. And thank you for having me to share about this. And I look forward to your questions.
And that's a timely segue, because we do have questions. First
Awesome.
off, with Roger, you mentioned symmetrical 10 gig speeds. Well, residences have that speed. And then from Jake, what percentage of the households in the three areas you plan to serve already have broadband? Where is the investment for the build out coming from for the three downtown city areas? And can you talk about a large grant you were awarded recently?
Sure. That's a lot of questions all
There,
together. I'm going to take them, I'm going to pull it apart if that's okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Liz, can you see the chat?
I can see the chat
Okay.
now. I stopped the screen share, so we'll be together and I will work on the chat. So
There you go.
okay. Symmetrical, let's start with symmetrical 10 gig speeds. Fiber is capable of symmetrical 10 gig speeds and beyond. We will have different packages and plans at different speed levels. And so will residences have that speed? Probably not at the outset, is what I'm going to say, because I will be very impressed if you can consume that. But we see and Chris could speak to this as well, if you'd like, but the majority of households will likely pick our plans somewhere in the 300 meg to gig range. And so while those speeds might be available, they are probably not going to be cost competitive to what you have today. Chris, you want to add anything to that?
Well, just simply answer it. The system will be capable of delivering 10 gig symmetrical service to the home. But as Liz mentioned, we probably will start with lower speed services as we get out of the gate until demand and rational consumption is there. So we're definitely building the network for the future. And this will last for many years. What we're deploying. It's called XGS PON. If you're ever interested in looking things up on the internet.
Thanks, Chris. Okay. Next question is from Jacob Anderson. What percentage of households in the three areas you plan to serve already have broadband? This is dependent on how you determine what broadband is. All of these households, to my knowledge, have something available to them. It's probably Spectrum, but not anything that is fiber and not anything that is going to be able to touch what we can deliver.
I guess federal definition of broadband would be fine. Because as I understand it, if Spectrum touches all those, Spectrum already delivers what the federal definition of broadband is, right?
Yes. So the federal definition of broadband, according to NTIA, is 100 megabytes down over 20 megabytes up. And if you've ever had internet that's 100 over 20, you would know that it's actually not that good. So the federal definition of broadband is actually a very low bar.
In terms of doing anything like running a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Even from folks that I work with, I hear that they can't join a Zoom call from home, or they can tell when a sports game is on because everything starts to buffer. So that's what I've heard. Yeah. Where's the investment from the build out coming from for the three downtown city areas? Great question. QLife, with 25 years of voluntary subscription revenue, has some savings. When Northern Wasco County PUD rejoined QLife in 2024, they also made a contribution to QLife to join. So there's some funding from there. And then we'll also be taking on some debt long-term as well, but not at the moment have we taken on debt. And can I talk about the large grant we were awarded recently? Sure, I can. There is a federal national program called the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. It's called BEAD. You might have read about it before. And BEAD is across every state, and it was intended to bridge what they call the digital divide, this gap. So it's intended to develop fiber to places that don't have it, develop those broadband services. And what happened is that under the prior administration, BEAD prioritized fiber. And QLife, as our local provider here, of course, applied to participate in BEAD and was preliminarily awarded a BEAD area. But throughout the course of this program, it was completely rewritten, such that fiber and satellite were being treated the same and as equal. And then was introduced this term called the benefit of the bargain, which means lowest cost provider wins regardless of technology. And it's very difficult for a fiber deployment, and especially with underground development, to compete with the cost of shipping you a Starlink satellite dish. Right? It's just very difficult. So QLife submitted applications to develop fiber to basically the entirety of Wasco County, and was preliminarily awarded a project in the Northern Wasco County School District. And the reason it's split by school district is just there's so little overlap between school districts in Oregon, and the Oregon Broadband Office determined it to do that way. So we were preliminarily awarded Northern Wasco County School District, the eligible locations only, which was really out towards Mosier and a little bit up Cherry Heights, to develop fiber to. And we started with that project, and then as you unfold it, right, because you submit the best information you have at the time, and then you start to unfold it as more time happens, because we only had to apply for this, I think, 3 or 4 times, because it kept changing. But as you unfold it, you learn a lot more about the costs, and costs can change during that time. And this happened over the last 12 months. And we determined that it was not going to be financially sustainable for QLife to develop and deploy and sustain that network. So QLife was unable to accept that award, but another fiber provider, Stimulus Broadband, who is privately owned, privately funded, and has over $215 million in total grant across the state of Oregon, has agreed to take that project and deliver fiber. And I hope they are wildly successful. QLife, as an intergovernmental agency, our mission is to develop broadband as far as it can go in our region, in the communities we serve. And if I can't afford to develop something because it's not going to be sustainable for us, I am so excited that someone else has agreed to take it on. And with over $215 million in total grant across the state of Oregon, they may be able to have it come out in the wash. And so my hope is that that's what happens with them.
Liz, I'm going to be very skeptical on the point of corporations receiving federal grants to install broadband, because up here, up Snowden in western Klickitat County, I know that's happened at least once. Yeah, they got the grant, they installed the fiber, and nobody can connect to it. It just sits in the ground. So they installed it, they got the grant, they walked away from it, and it's sitting there. And it's a frustration up here because we cannot connect to it. It was a waste of federal tax dollars. So what you're doing, where you have a public mandate, is so different. It's so critically different.
Thank you. And
yeah.
I wonder if the Oregon Broadband Office has actually addressed that concern through their program design as well for this, because part of so it's not a reimbursement model for that grant, it's a distribution model, and some of the milestones are doing speed tests at customer locations. So having to have connected it and doing a percentage of your total locations to be able to do that. So my hope is that that's not what happens here in Oregon with BEAD, because of the stage gates that they put in place in order to receive the funding.
Good. Yeah, they better have some deliverables. Roger just ran a speed test on his Spectrum, 90 down and 10 up.
That does not meet the standard, the federal standard of broadband.
And that's Spectrum in the city of the Dalles.
Thank you, Roger. Appreciate that.
Are we missing any questions?
Roger also asked if we can develop in multiple directions simultaneously. Yes, of course. This is construction is done by contract crews, so we can develop as much as we want, as much as we can afford, as fast as we can. But as much as we can afford is the challenging part.
What is the cost estimate for the first build out? This from Jacob.
Yeah, the first portion is about a $3 million build, give or take. And that's for, and there are startup costs. So for example, going from not delivering fiber to the home right now to delivering fiber to the home, there are significant startup costs that will not change. Like just think of them as fixed costs. We're dealing with fixed costs right now. Our variable costs will, of course, extend into the future, but those fixed costs that we're paying for now will help as we develop into further zones. So it's about 3 million right now, and then into the further zones. If we were to build all of the Dalles, it's an additional $10-ish million. Okay, and by all, I mean all that's reasonable and not underground and straight rock.
That was my follow-up question, total cost and build out in the Dalles. Once you do it, as you mentioned earlier, that fiber is solid, it's there. So it's that initial build out cost. It's like the extension of electricity to rural America back in the 30s. Big initial cost, but people weren't getting it otherwise. And okay, we take it for granted now. Fiber as a utility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fiber as a utility. Actually, one of our other wonderful commissioners, you talked about rural electrification. And it's important to remember, Northern Wasco County PUD was founded in 1939 and didn't actually deliver the first electrical service for 10 years until 1949. So they spent 10 years developing this infrastructure to deliver power. This is different. It'll be faster. And of course, it's very different in scope. But we like to think of what we're doing as rural broadbandification. And Scott Hagee, our great QLife board member and Wasco County Commissioner, coined that term, rural broadbandification. And so that's what we're doing.
We have a question on what I believe is referring to NOAANet. Is it true BPA installed giant fiber pipelines? I don't have my glasses, so I'm having trouble reading the chat. Between the dams, is that your contact with the internet?
It is true. It is true. And BPA has had fiber coming in and out of the Big Eddy BPA substation since 2001, I think it is. And so we have an opportunity to use, internet connectivity from multiple carriers, NOAANet being one of the options. And based on the question is asked, NOAANet rides on that BPA fiber.
That is the connection to the outside world.
It's one of them.
One of them. All right.
Yeah. A healthy network will have diversified connections to the outside world.
Jake has a follow-up question there. And what percentage of the update on the PAT? Do you see that one there?
I do. So what percentage of the we'll just take this, the term we use for this is take rate. So what percentage of the households that we've developed to are consuming our service? We target a 40 to 70% take rate. 40 is low, 70 would be great, more would be even better. But that's what our target is and we have modeling where you can just plug this in and you can run scenarios on we build this now, we build this later at this take rate, here's how it goes. And so as like any iterative project, as you learn more information, as costs change, as all of that happens, we get to play with this a little bit and determine, okay, it's time to go now. And here's the take rate we need to make that successful.
Roger has his hand up.
Hi, Roger.
Thank you. Just want to share some history. I remember I wrote a couple of pieces about the history of electricity development in the Dalles and Wasco County. And because it was Pacific Power and Light, which fought the PUD for years and years, they kept their rates artificially low to max with the PUD. And then when the PUD was ready to buy them out, they enacted all of the rate increases they had foregone for 15 years and just before the ballot. And it was a slam dunk for them. It was nasty, but clever strategy.
Thank you for sharing that. What the PUD would love you to know and for me to share with you is the Northern Wasco County PUD delivers the second lowest cost for power in the state. It's amazing. And we want that same idea across broadband. We want that same excellence. And if you've been, you might be able to be a customer of Northern Wasco County PUD, but if you've been within that group, you know that these folks are so mission oriented. They are looking to deliver at the best electricity and reliability service as possible, as humanly possible for the communities they serve. And they bring that same passion into serving QLife as a great partner.
And I cannot emphasize how important and how encouraging it is to have PUD on board with QLife now. I know that's been a long discussion. I remember the history of this as well. And talk about a critical partner. It makes so much sense. And really, I applaud the PUD. Chris, please pass that along to Roger and others there. Cindy, everyone responsible. Good work. Good work bringing them on board. Other questions we have for Liz here? Am I missing anybody?
I want to thank Lee, the president of the PUD or of the QLife board, for joining us, as well as Chris and Becky and Andrew that I get to work with very, very often, constantly, for joining us and being able to support making sure that y'all have all of the information that you need about QLife.
I would just
one more
chime
Lee,
in.
go ahead. Lee, go ahead.
Quickly and just say, we did. Liz mentioned that survey that we did a few years back, with McKed, and nobody who responded to that survey said they loved their internet provider. Nobody said they loved their internet service. And I think that's our goal. We want to install an incredible broadband service that people just say, "Oh my God, look what happened! You should sign up for this." So that's our goal. And you're right. It's been wonderful. The city and county pioneered this early on and ran it and kept it going. And it's brought us all sorts of good things to have this fiber optic loop. But now we're going to expand it and bring it to residential customers, businesses downtown. I was talking to a person downtown who's got I think he's got wireless in his store, and it's a disaster. So we're gonna start solving that. It's a municipal broadband program, much like water and sewer. It should always be there. It should be affordable. It should be reliable. And if you've got a problem, you should be able to call up and talk to somebody right away, or go drop down on the riverfront and talk to the folks at the PUD. We are thrilled to have the PUD back in as a partner.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Liz, Lee, congratulations on taking this to the next step. This is fantastic news.
Thank you. And thank you for having us.
This is a teaser. I put one other reason to go with fiber. Everyone look up Kessler syndrome sometime. It'll be a shock. Our reliance on satellite, we're skating on thin ice. Let's get to fiber as quickly as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Our guest, Liz Lance, QLife Network. Liz, keep up the good work, and join us next week when Shannon Saldivar will be talking about Medicare signups and things like that. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good weekend. And Liz, keep it up. Keep us informed. We ought to check back in.
Yes,
All
certainly.
right. We'll
All right.
plan on that.
More soon. Thanks all.
Thank you all. Bye now.